Controversial calls, favored drivers, safety schmafety, championships, silly season updates, and a lot more today on this Sunday edition of the Daily. Let's go. It's Sunday, October 6th. I'm Justin Fiedler. This is DIRTRACKR Daily presented by Kubota Genuine Parts. I'm going to do something a little different today and just rip through a bunch of topics and hit on things that are on my mind following the past few days of dirt racing. We'll start first with sprint car safety. Friday night at Williams Grove, the National Open prelim show was eventually postponed because of fog at the track. They went as long as they could, but eventually decided to push things to Saturday. There was no consensus among drivers and teams in the series, it seemed like, about whether it was okay to continue or not. We had thumbs up from drivers, we had thumbs down from drivers. Some were happy they called it, others said it went on too long, and even another group said they should have just kept racing, that the fog was no worse than a dusty surface. Going back on 5 years of doing daily shows, I'm kind of getting sick at this point of talking about safety, if I'm being honest. Especially at a time where we continue to think it's okay for fuel cells to come off race cars and for racetracks like Williams Grove to have no catch fencing in the corners and posts sticking out of the ground for cars to hit as they fly through the air after leaving the ballpark. 3 cars out of the track in 2 days is pretty insane. And Gio Scelzi is incredibly fortunate for his. He flies out of turn 4, hits a wood post on the way by, and is only stopped from ending up in the parking lot by a locked gate. I don't know why tracks think this is acceptable, I don't know why series think this is acceptable, and I don't know why drivers and teams think it's acceptable. But as is usual, nothing is going to change until something really bad happens. But I think I'm off the talking about safety bandwagon. It's just yelling into the void at this point. On the flip side, the thing that really seemed to ruffle some feathers yesterday was the Outlaws giving Sheldon Haudenschild his position back after the incident with Chase Dietz. Sheldon clears the 2D into turn 3, almost loses it, and then Dietz piles into the back of the 17 and turns over. Sheldon's car was still moving at the red flag, so he was deemed to have not been part of the caution and stayed in his position for the restart. Folks online big mad about that one and rather predictably pointed towards the Outlaws favoring the NOS-sponsored car. That's certainly a turnaround from 2 years ago, and apparently the opposite was true. If you guys might remember when Sheldon was hated by Outlaw officials while his stopped car sat in the infield at Weed Sport in 2022. He threw his helmet on the track, which caused a caution, and then his crew flipped off the tower, pushing the car back to the trailer. So is this NOS car favored or not? It's hard to keep up sometimes with all of the conspiracy theories. As for the call itself, I said earlier this year when Zack won a race at Fremont after getting crashed by Cap Henry and keeping his spot, that I thought the rule was stupid, and I still think it is. But by the way the rule is written and interpreted, there was nothing untoward about the decision. I wonder if all of those people that thought I was wrong about Sabo saying that he shouldn't have gotten the lead back will come to Sheldon's defense today. My brilliant sprint car idea for the day, by the way, is to eliminate fuel stops and lap counts. I tweeted about this earlier. Let the teams figure out on their own how much fuel they need to get to the end of these races. And that's true of features, heats, whatever. If that means slightly bigger fuel tanks or filling them fuller or maybe saving fuel, I don't know. I'm not saying this is a good idea, but I like the introduction of the chaos. It might be entertaining. The wins at the Grove went to buddy Kofoid in the prelim and Carson Macedo in the big show. Second career National Open for Macedo, but he wasn't able to make up ground on gravel for the title. 9 races left, 86 points between them. I think it's looking more and more likely that gravel gets this first title. Next up is Lincoln Speedway next Saturday, which is the replacement event for the sacked Sealands Grove races. In the ongoing sprint car silly season discussion, thanks to a Natalie Jackson tweet from over the weekend, we know that Barry Jackson will scale back next season into more of a team manager role and likely not travel as much. As things have played out in recent weeks, it's been part of the rumor mill around the CJB 5 sprint car that this was likely and that a new crew chief would guide that team in 2025. The team won't officially reveal plans until after the final high limit show at Texas, but new crew chief along with a new driver inbound here. Jumping into some late model stuff, I said not long ago that I felt like Devin Moran might be the guy to beat for the Lucas Championship, and he leaves the first 2 nights of the chase as the leader. He led flag to flag on Friday at PA Motor Speedway and went 12th to 2nd last night. He's got 10 points on Jonathan Davenport, who dominated the Pittsburgher 100 finale for that $50,000 win. With 2 nights at Brownstown next, then the Dirt Track World Championship at Eldora to finish it, Ricky Thornton Jr., Tim McCready both have work to do. RTJ solid 3rd and 6th, but he's 60 points back. And really same with McCready, 8th and 4th, but trails by 80. This is kind of not a situation where you can just be consistent and go win this championship. I feel like these guys are in must-win scenarios from here on out. At Fairbury, we had a Brian Shirley sweep of the Mars weekend. Several Outlaw teams went this direction. Shirley showed he's still on fire. 4 Outlaw wins in his last 7 starts there, and now this Mars sweep. Fellow YouTuber Jason Fager able to wrap up the Mars Championship, beating Ryan Unzicker both nights to sew it up. Bobby Pierce was off this weekend. He's back at Brownstown. Another Outlaw driver, Ryan Gustin, went to Wheatland for the MLRA shows. He won Thursday and Friday. He continues to be the top driver in a Wells Infinity chassis. Chris Simpson won the Saturday feature, while brother Chad continues to lead the standings. And if you're curious, Earl Pearson Jr., he ended up 8th, 16th, and 7th in a B main at Wheatland. So 8th in a feature, 16th in a feature, 7th in a B main the 3 days. We'll see if he shows up anywhere else with that Black Diamond race car. Ethan Dotson, Zack Mitchell, weekend hunt the front series winners at Talladega. Zack Mitchell, he's won 2 of the last 3 series events, showing a bunch of speed with this Coltman Farms team. Series points leader Brandon Overton, still winless since June. Kaeding McIntosh, officially your Extreme Outlaw Midget champion after 2 nights at Jacksonville. Ryan Timms had a very small shot at it, but that went away after he and Gavin Miller were involved in some KKM on KKM crime at the end of the Friday feature, which gave the win to Zach Dahm. Timms, though, saying afterwards, quote, "I can't say I wouldn't have done the exact same thing Gavin did," unquote. A very self-aware thing for Timms to admit that. No midget racing now until USAC gets going again in November. At the dirt track at Texas Motor Speedway, Aaron Reitzel swept the 2 power ride nights with Tanner Thorson second in both of those features. Thorson there to try and dial things in before the high limit weekend. Thorson, though, also looked like maybe he was experimenting a bit, as that car appeared to have coilovers on it instead of traditional shocks. It didn't look to be quite the radical setup like we saw from the Sammy Swindell car at the Knoxville Nationals, but we know that Thorson is very deep on the setup of his cars, and it might be something we see again in the future, especially if they, continue to find speed with that. In California, Justin Sanders and Tim Kaeding split the 2 features at Hanford for the Maury Williams Memorial. The championship was tight going into this weekend between Sanders and Macedo, but I haven't seen updated standings today, so I'm not sure where we stand. NARC back to racing again this coming weekend at Tulare. For the Northeast fans, Matt Williamson, the Outlaw 200 winner at Fulton last night. I believe I saw this was the richest 358 modified payout of the season, but don't go looking for streaming replays or highlights because there aren't any. I get comments for not mentioning these shows, but the track doesn't stream. Their Twitter account is dead. You got 3 Facebook updates during the feature. And the main story on the Fulton website today is a sponsor mention from September 24th. I don't think I'm the problem here. If you guys want some racing today, there is Silver Crown action at Terre Haute. The 100-lap Sumar Classic is on tap for tonight. Practice slated for 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. Cody Swanson controls the Silver Crown Championship with just 2 races left. That's the show for this Sunday. Thanks for stopping by and tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of little rapid-fire situation we did on the show today. Maybe we'll do it again in the future. But thanks, you guys, for tuning in. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.